we have three problems that we need to solve. Let me show you problem number 1. As an aid for improving employees' working habits, 8 employees were randomly selected to attend a seminar workshop on the importance of work. The table shows the number of workloads done per week before and after the seminar workshop. At 0.05 did attending the seminar workshop increase the performance level of employees. In this problem, we are using t-test period sample for means in Excel. These two computed t-values between means and for two dependent measures on the same individual or set cases. This is also known as a paired or dependent sample t-test. So in this case, we have data from 8 employees who were randomly selected to attend a seminar workshop on the importance of work. So we measured the number of workloads done per week before and after. This is the same employee that being measured twice before and after their seminar workshop. First, we need to go to Data tab, then select the Data Analysis option. Then we're gonna find t-test paired to sample per means. Then click OK. So first, we're gonna entering the variable range, put the data in before. Then next, we're gonna entering the variable range to put all the data in after. Next, make sure to click the label. In our alpha label, so we give that 0.05. Then in hypothesis mean different, it's gonna be 0. Then last, click the output range, click here and place it where do you want. Then click OK. So we can see our output here. First thing we look at here, the mean, which are two groups, so mean before are 10.5 and after are 12.5. Also, we can see the variance here. Now the t-stat actually t-statistic that was produced for this difference, negative 0.97, and we can see if we testing in a two-tailed test, the critical value would be 2.36. If we doing one-tailed test, 1.89, and this case will exceed both of those critical value. We have a value of negative 0.96, and that's burn out our p-value, which we can see here, and both of these 0.04 and 0.09 are the last and final files. So we are able to fail to reject the null hypothesis. There is no increase in the performance level of employees after attending the workshop.
Since both the claim and the alternative hypothesis are given in our problem, it is better to define the alternative hypothesis first before moving on to the null hypothesis. Therefore, the alternative hypothesis is that if employee performance levels significantly improve. So, to state that, there is a significant increase in the performance level of employees after attending the workshop. That is the alternative. Now, to do the null hypothesis, we can simply say that there is no significant difference in performance level after attending the workshop. Or you can simply say that there is no significant increase in the performance level of employees after attending the workshop.
In null hypothesis, we can just simply state that the performance level of employees after attending the workshop. So that's the easiest way to do the alternative, and then all the hypothesis for your step-by-step procedure. Now again, our alpha is our level of significance, so that is 0.5%. Now for the test statistic to assess the problem, you will notice that there's an intervention before getting the after data. And now to do the test statistics, we have to do the same procedure. In the selected cell, just type equals t.test and we'll ask for the first array of the data, which is the before data, then comma, select after comma, and in the tails is 1, and for the type is 1 since it's paired and top on check, and that is our probability value. And to get the actual p computed, in the next cell, just type equals t.inv, and since it is one-tailed, we're going to choose this one. And in the probability, we just stop the probability value, comma, and for the degree freedom is n minus 1, which is 8 minus 1, so 7, and then top check. And to get the absolute value, just type equals ABS and select the actual p computed, then top on check. and that is the absolute value on this one. Next is the critical value. Type in the cell equals T.INV, and the probability is the alpha. Degrees of freedom is still 7, then tap on check. And to get the positive value, just type equals ABS and select the value to get the absolute value. So we compare it, and to reject HO, if the computer is greater than critical value, and in this case, you will notice 1.96 approximately value of the text statistic is less than per 1.89, so that means we are failed to reject the null.
For our decision, it is worth mentioning that if we have a case like this, we need to compare it to reject each of it. If test statistic is greater than our critical value, and in this case, it is advisable that 1.6567 approximate value of test statistic is less than to our critical value, which is 1.89. It means that we fail to reject the null. And for our conclusion, it will be at 5% level of significance. We can conclude that there's no significant increase in the performance level of employees after attending the workshop. So that would be all for question number 1.
A total bank is studying the relationship between the mean account balance for individual account and the number of transactions per month. A sample of 8 accounts revealed. Customer 1, mean balance is 27, number of transactions is 11. Customer 2, mean balance is 32, number of transactions is 2. Customer 3, mean balance is 50, number of transactions is 5. Customer 4, mean balance is 24, number of transactions is 9. Customer 5, mean balance is 53, number of transactions is 7. Customer 6, mean balance is 10, number of transactions is 2. Customer 7, mean balance is 16, number of transactions is 4. Customer 8, mean balance is 15, number of transactions is 10.
Determine at 0.01 significance level whether the correlation is not equal to 0. Hypothesis testing step by step. First, we need to know what is the null and alternative hypothesis. For the null hypothesis, we need to know that there are no relationship or the two variables are unrelated. To state the null hypothesis in words, we can say that there is no correlation between mean balance for individual accounts and the number of transactions per month. While the alternative hypothesis is the opposite of the null hypothesis. So we can say that there is correlation between mean balance for individual accounts and the number of transactions per month. For the alpha or the level of significance, it is 0.01. To get the TS statistics, we will use the syntax t-test. So after that, we will insert function. For the first array, we will select the balance, and for the second array, we will select the number of transactions. For the tails, we will put number 2 since it is two-tailed test, while for the type, put number 3 since it is unequal. So for the probability value, we have 0.00538289. After that, we will also get the actual t computed, and we will use the syntax t.inv/.2t. So after that, insert function. For the probability, we will select the probability value, which is 0.00538289. And for the degree of freedom, it is n-1, which is 8 minus 1 is equals to 7. And after that, we have 3.97136824 for the actual t computed.
The critical is 3.5 and the decision rule is reject hypothesis if p-value is less than equal of 0.01, otherwise fail to reject the hypothesis. Decision is since 0.005 is less than 0.01, we fail to reject hypothesis. And conclusion, at 1% of significance, we conclude that there is a correlation between mean balance for individual accounts and the number of transactions per month.
The value of P or R starts with 0 and the interpretation is that no. 0 less than or less than 0.2 and the interpretation is very weak. 0.2 less than or less than 0.4 and the interpretation is weak. 0.4 less than or less than 0.6 and the interpretation is moderate. 0.6 less than or less than 0.8 and the interpretation is strong. And 0.8 less than or less than 1 and the interpretation is very strong. 1 and the interpretation is not perfect. And the results of the conclusion is the variable has very weak linear association.
We will be proceeding in our last problem. Hi, my name is Nemros, and here in problem number 3, we are using the two-sample and equal variance. A budget head for MSS Sales Incorporated would like to compare the daily travel expenses in pesos for the sales staff, which is represented by the letter S, and audit staff, which is represented by the letter A. He collected the following sample information. At 1% level of significance, can he conclude that the mean daily expenses of the sales staffs are greater than the audit staffs?
Hi, I am Curly and I will be explaining the first step, which is to find the null and alternative hypothesis. And our null will be, there is no significant budget compared to daily travel expenses for the sales staff and audit staff by MSS Sales Inc. And our alternative will be, there is significant budget compared to daily travel expenses for the sales staff and audit staff by MSS Sales Inc. For the test statistics, we will input t-test. We will click the array 1, then array 2. Choose two-tailed, and lastly is the number 3, which is the unequal variances.
Hello guys, I am Cristela. We still need to get the actual t computed. So we will input the t.inv. Then our probability is the one we had gotten and the t-test. Then our degrees of freedom, which is 10 minus 1 or equals 9 or 9. The next one is to get the critical value, and to do that we will use t.inv. We will use the alpha, and the degrees of freedom will still be positive 9. And we will now go on our decision.
On our decision, looking at our values, we can see that the test statistics is 2.62. And for the critical value is 3.25, and based on these two values, 2.62, is less than 3.25, and that means that we fail to reject the null hypothesis. And at 1% level of significance, evidence is enough to conclude that there is no significance budget compared to daily travel expenses for the sales staff and other staff by MSS Sales Inc. And that's how we compute the statistical hypothesis testing on Excel. It is very easy that when you get the hang of it. And that's all for today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you understood our discussion. See you and God bless you all. Thank you.